Ok, bueno, buenos días. La charla va a ser completa en inglés, ¿vale? Deciros que, aunque sea en inglés, yo soy gallega, entonces cualquier pregunta, duda, cuestión que queráis hacernos es más que bienvenida. Y si queréis preguntarle algo más a Sanne de Envisions, pues también se lo traduciremos y haremos que realmente, bueno, podáis ser parte de la charla. Dejarme presentarme, ahora voy ya a empezar en inglés para que ella también sea parte. I'm Adriana Baamonde, and I'm part of the design team in Finsa, and she's Sanne Schurman from Envisions. And we are here today to tell you about how the design and the industry has to work together. Because many times we believe that design is one thing and industry is other thing. And more design is part of our life, daily life, and we have to do that in the companies. So just to start, let me tell you a little bit about who Finsa is and what people believe about us. Okay, we are a boot manufacturer. We do boot, we do boards. Every single place that you go, the tables, the flooring, the furniture, they are made from wood. So that's what we produce. We were born in 1931 in a sawmill in Galicia. And then we became a very big industrial company, and we industrialized a really natural product, and we develop very good process, and we develop a very responsible R&D department. When you work with natural resources, you really need to be conscious about that they have to last, and that if you are going to work with them, you really need to take care of them. You cannot work with wood, metal, anything like that, and not pay attention about how the next years are coming to you. So many times when I'm working and I'm traveling in London, in Milan, and whatever, and someone asks me, so what do you do? I work in Finsa. What is that? Well, we are boot manufacturers. Many often people imagine me like that. They think, okay, so you are a boot manufacturer, you are a leñador. Oh, yeah. I'm like, no. I work in an industrial company, but I work in the design department. We have a design department that is constantly thinking and doing new things to really get each other together, because we don't believe in a future company in an industrial way with no design on it. So part of the funny joke about that they think that I'm a leñador or that I look like an industrial girl, it's easy to tell them the story behind, because these are the things that we do. Probably a lot of you have been in a university or a school with some board of our company, the typical green board that you have in your tables at the high school. I remember it, so probably you too. Then you have hotels, we go in flooring, we go in different spaces, and we just produce boards. That's it. Boards that then designers and companies really became in products that are in our daily life. So it's not what they really believe that it is. This is what we do. We are really specialized on habitat and everything that it goes with. What happened is, if you really think where we are in the chain, we are in the very beginning. We are the people that develop products and boards for other ones to design spaces or furniture or things like that. So the final customer, the person that really make a decision about which kind of table are you going to buy for your house, the person that make a decision about which kind of color are you going to have in your living room, they are really far from us. We have in the middle all these incredible people that work with us. You have the distributor, you have the boot industrial, the designer, and then the shops. So let's say that we are quite far away from the reality. But you can do two things. You can sit in your company, on your office, sitting there, think that everything is going to come to you, or you can realize that you need to be part of the lifestyle. You need to know how people live in Japan, in London, or in Santiago. You really need to know how they are going to change their families, how the working space changing, how the co-working, co-living, new big spaces, new materials are really developing to be able to develop a good range of products for people to use. Many times, when I really want to explain what we do, I use the fashion industry. When you do a dress, you'd have the fabric, you'd have the designer, you'd have the person that really sewed the dress, and the final customer. Okay, let's say that we are the fabric, okay? We produce the raw material, and then people really make design, product, and then arrive to the final customer. Many times when you talk about this, people don't really understand why a company like that are involved in design. But this is the reality. We are a company that are working with design, not like, oh, we like design, we think that is nice, we need to develop new decors. No, we really make a statement. We have different initiatives that really talk about how we involve with design. Inside of the company, we have a full design team. That would be roughly between design and marketing, around 10 to 12 people. Then we have different things, like we have the products. Of course, you have to develop collections and ideas and see what is coming next. Then you have contests. We have contests not just in Spain, but also around. We have the IFA, the International Finsa Awards for Architects and Designers. We also have the Thinking Boot Awards that are also for people that are involved in interior design. And then we also do have spaces in big cities like Barcelona, Madrid, or Porto that people can go and work with our materials with no commitment or anything like that. If you are a designer in Porto, you would have the WOW, working of boot space that is something really big where you'd have conference, materials, and you can really do the famous co-working thing that we are on right now. And then talking about inspiration, we have done trend books. You know, this incredible nice thing about trends. When you say, oh, I work on trends, people think that you have a crystal ball and you know what is coming next. It's not like that. We are developing trend books about materials, surfaces, and what I was saying before, lifestyles. So talking about design and all this commitment with design, designers, and be part of the matching between collaboration between the designer and the industry, we found someone. In this long path that we have taken, someone showed up and something happened. So we went to the Dutch Design Week in 2016, and a group of nobles designers that just jumped out of the academy ran to us and say something. But if you want to know the full story, you have to bear with us because I don't have the full idea.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hola, I'm Sanne Schurman, the art director of Envisions. Oh, directing we are based in the Netherlands, and we are a group of, let's say, 25 designers with different backgrounds. And most of us studied at the Design Academy in Eindhoven. It's a well-known design academy where they teach you how to be one of those famous designers, like Hella Jongerius, Gemi Heyen, and Patricia Urquiola, for example. But we thought, is that really the future? Do we want to be like one of them? Because we knew from our internships that they have big studios, a lot of people are working for them, they have a whole team to realize their ideas. But you never know who's behind all their ideas and the creation of it. And we wanted to collaborate with each other. We wanted to be able to show who was responsible for each part of the process. So we asked a group of designers with different backgrounds. So it can be like graphic designers. We also have a virtual reality maker, a movie maker, a photographer, textile designers, product designers. And with the 25 people together, we think we have a really good group with a lot of knowledge, and we are able to help each other, to give each other feedback, to come up with new ideas. What's also really important in the Netherlands is that after your graduation, you have to go international to show who you are, which type of designer you are, and what you are capable of making. One of the places is Salone del Mobile. It's a big product design fair in Milan. And our dream was to be part of it, but again, to do it differently. Because normally if you walk in a fair like that, you see a lot of chairs, tables, and lights, and you like it or you don't. But you don't know clearly why it's made, or from what it's made, or what the question was that the designer had in the beginning of its process. So we decided that we wanted to show our process instead of an end product, to be able to have, hopefully, dialogues with companies, industries, and other designers who could jump in our process and who had maybe other thoughts and ideas to help us out. So that they won't think like, it's a chair, but I don't like the chair, but maybe we were focusing on an interesting connection of wood, and together we can come up with the idea to create a chair from it. So here you can see the work. It's an image that we showed to try to get our name out as young designers, with different work from all the Envisioners. This is an idea of that in 2016, the first show that we had. As you can see, you don't see any product. They are all suggestions. And it worked out in that way that a lot of people asked us, okay, what are we looking at? What will be the next step? What can I do with it? Which gave us the opportunity to have a conversation with everyone, where normally at a fair people pass by and you don't come in real contact. Something else which I think is different than how other people do it is that it's not about the individuals anymore, but it's like the complete group that shows the quality of everyone. So it's not that you can find my work and next to it you can find the work of another designer, but we really look to interesting connections between our work to create one image. Our goal, our end goal, was that we could develop this into a working method that would hopefully work to collaborate with industries or bigger companies, so you could really start from the beginning in the process. Like normally, that's how they taught us at the Design Academy. You design that chair, you go to a factory or a maker and ask if they can help to develop it and make it for you. But we wanted to start in the beginning of a process. So we thought, what if we start with process, that a company or a factory give us the freedom to experiment with their materials and their knowledge. Then the next phase will follow, which is progress, which means that all the process you have made, you try to analyze it, you see what works, what doesn't work, you make a selection, and you come in contact with the people in the factories with all the knowledge, and you try to exchange the knowledge to come to prototypes. And from those prototypes, you come in the last phase, which is production. Because in the end, you want that all the experimental creations will become part of our daily life. And that's actually when we met Finsa. In the Netherlands, you have Baars and Bloemhof. It's a company, and they are like the distributors, for example, of Finsa, but also a lot of other board materials. And as young designers, we didn't know where to start, but we asked them, like, do you know companies or industries that are maybe willing to work with us? So they gave us a list with different names, and we started to call them. And we invited them at the Dutch Design Week, which is also a small fair in Eindhoven, to be able to show our work in real and to have a real conversation.
Yeah, it was really a surprise, because to be honest with you, part of my job is visiting different fairs like Milan, London, the Dutch Design Week, see what kind of trend is coming, or more than anything, see in advance what is gonna come. And someone told me that we would have a meeting with new designers and that we would have a chat. Usually this kind of meeting is a pity, because I think that we have a very good cantera, like we have a lot of people that have a lot of good ideas. All of these meetings always end with, I want this board or this other one. So for us, when someone came to us and say, okay, what I want to see is your process and your product, and we want to break everything that has been in your mind so far. So everything that you have been working for the last years, we are gonna break it. Every standard that you are working in to improve your quality, we are gonna break it. And Some people call us crazy, other ones say, oh, you are a visionary, but we open up and we let them designers come to our factories, well, in the different ones, Santiago, Barcelona, and we just open the doors of the process and products, and they just jump in.
Yeah, and that's actually really, really special, because it's not something you probably can do as a designer on yourself, but I think the strength of the group and our whole story and wish and dream to create an experiment and to break their boundaries and their usual processes, I think that made us come in and got the chance to visit their factories. And actually it's amazing, it's impressive, it's huge. We didn't know what we saw. But also we realized how much time is spent to create a technical MDF or particle board. Like we normally just buy it to create our molds and to construct furniture, but we didn't realize what the process was to create a board, a raw material like that. So, yeah, you gave us the freedom to choose the materials we wanted to work with and the processes that we were most interested in. So all the 12 designers, they received materials in their studio, all different types of materials. And here you will see, if the movie starts, no. A sneak peek of what happened in everyone's studio. So this is Simone Post, one of the envisioners of the collective, and she was surprised by how long it took Finsa to imitate a wood pattern, to create a decor that looks like real wood, but it's not. And actually it's covering a board which is made from real wood. So she tried to make a graphical statement, and by removing parts of the boards with a wood grain. Iwan was surprised by the stiffness and the weight of a board. What would happen if you can maybe fold it? What can you create as soon as it comes out of transport and it shapes itself to be a product? Or even to cover a column in a big architectural building. And as you can see, we all start by making models by hand. Van Tot, it's a duo, they work together, and they focused on conductive ink. They imagined, like in the future, it would be really great if all the buildings can be covered with boards, which directly are allowing us to put LEDs or to plug our phones in. So not using those plugs we have nowadays, but that the whole board becomes conductive. And at the same time, it creates an aesthetical value. Aukje, she was focusing on melamine. It's a process where you have an impregnated paper, which is pressed on one of the MDF or chipboards. And instead of where normally if there is a, how do you say that, a rip in the paper or a wrinkle, then they throw it away. It's trash and it's not allowed to sell to the customers. But she made advantage of that, and she was repeating it by ripping the papers in different layers to create a new way of designing patterns. Robin wanted to give the boards a more soft look, to be maybe even able to use it in acoustic elements so that it would cover the sounds in big buildings. And she did this by removing parts of the boards and applying textile in between before she was putting back the different parts. Thomas Strum, he was the one who asked for raw materials, glues and inks, and he rebuilt a small factory in his own studio. And instead of covering a chipboard, he decided, why not coloring it before it's pressed? So that the chipboard itself becomes already an interesting material without needing an extra layer. And it's really interesting to see how bright the colors are and what happens if you start to sand it. This is my own process. It's always a bit difficult to talk about my own work. But I was focused on creating connection parts and to see what happens if you add foam, also for an acoustic value, to be able to create lightweight structures. And that the MDF becomes more like an interesting detail in that structure to connect different elements. Roel Dede, he is our virtual reality guy, and we asked him to translate all those handmade models into a virtual reality world, because then you have the possibility to see how a small model will look when it's repeated, or when it will cover a whole facade of a building, or even when it becomes the floor or the street of a whole town. And that was actually a lot of fun. Roos Gomperts, a bit similar as Aukje, she was focused on the melamine process, so that impregnated paper, but instead of ripping it and adding other layers, she was taking out shapes to show the MDF and the chipboard inside, so that it can get a new value and that we understand that it's not just covering up a material, but that there's real wood inside. The last one, it's Jeroen van der Gruyter. He was fascinated by car foil, like how the light of the sun comes on a car and shows the shapes of it. And he tried to translate this into the boards by adding subtle textures, covering it with the foil to see what happens if the lights will shine on it. Oh. And then I guess for Finsa it was...
It was different. It was different because every time that we work in a new product or that we actually develop something, we see mistakes like what you were saying, the breaking of the paper or the wrinkles or some kind of burn that we don't really accept as quality. But then these guys arrive to our place and say, you know what, I'm gonna make this beautiful. You know, all these ways that you are doing with the paper and with the veneer and with your product, I'm gonna use them again. And they just break many ideas that we thought that they could not be used, or they, more than anything, they open our minds. The idea behind this is we saw our product in a different way. And all together, we're really able to see that a MDF or a chipboard can have another way to see as the one that we are used to. It was a little bit different, and to be honest, at the beginning when we sent all the material and they said, we are gonna do a chipboard at home or something like that, my colleagues from RD, they were like, nah, it's impossible, they cannot do it, they don't have an oven nor a press. And then Thomas came up and he was doing his own chipboard at home, like if he was baking. And then Aukje, with all the paper around, the melamine paper is really hard to break, and it's quite difficult to work with. And she break it, and she paint, and she did everything. So it was really eye-opening completely. Yeah. That's something for sure. So I think that, as you were saying before, Milan is the place to be if you work in design, but more if you work in interior design. I think that Milan is one of the most known fairs, either inside of the Salone or in the Fuori Salone. More and more companies like Mini, Samsung, not just the furniture people, not just the people attached to the interior design, people that really are involved in design are more and more part of this fair. So after we did all this process with you, and well, you did the process at your home, we just realized that the good idea to show the world your experimental part, or how you focus, or how you study our products, Milan was the place to be. We went for the first time to Milan in 2017 together. We were in an incredible palazzo, and we were showing nothing but our product with a different side from designers that really bring new ideas to us. So it was really nice. It was, I don't know how you feel the feedback for the people.
Yeah, I remember that people were like, wow, this is amazing. Even designers are, I think, dreaming of get the chance to play with material and to really experiment and explore all the possibilities within it. And most of design studios, they keep all the process in their studios because it's not finished yet. And I think it's really interesting to open up your process and to show others what you're working on. And I remember that one of the people from Finsa that works with the materials day in and like every day. He didn't first recognize the melamine paper. He thought,
Yeah,
where's my material?
There was a guy that works, we have suppliers, paper suppliers, wood suppliers, and a guy that probably he is 15 to 20 years on the sector, wood sector. He arrives and was, oh my God, this is not an MDF. And the designer said, yes, it is, just in a different way completely.
And what surprised us most is that we were able, with like, this project was done by 12 designers, that we all created something different, so that we didn't copy each other. We got inspired, but that's fine. But first we were scared that maybe if you work all with the same material, the same type of end results would come out. Mm-hmm. But it was really diverse, and yeah, it opened up, I think, many, many eyes. What's also really interesting is that you see connections between the samples again. Like this can be a more dark tone, even a trend world, where this can be a lot more playful, and people start to imagine where they can apply it to.
So after this first approach, and that we went to Milan, and that second one that you said was London, and then we went to the Dutch Design Week, let's say that we made the tour on the big design scenes that we believe that we should be. We thought, okay, now we have two options. We can wrap up this project, put it in a, I don't know, in a wardrobe or something, take it there and just imagine in our heads how beautiful it would be in an industrial way. But you know that the world needs crazy people and really enthusiastic people. So Envisions and the people inside of Finsa decided that we need to go a step further. So we took all these little pieces that they really have done in their own studios, and we bring them to our factories. Just for you to have an idea, where our factories are industrial factories. So you have groups of people producing all time, boards and flooring and everything. And a lot of them have been there for a long time. We have them probably, there are people in our company that were there for 20 years, 5 years, or there are people, as you will say later on, that are there for more than 30 years. So we decide that we need to go ahead. And it was a very good idea, because the know-how of Finsa, that experience that I'm telling you about, was completely shocked and surprised by the designers. But also the designers got the chance to know all that experience and all that know-how that the people that were in the factories could really show with them. I think that if there is a big thing for us, a part of all these new ideas, is that our factory people and our industrial people, they really have experience and knowledge that they knew how to tell to the Envisions people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember that in the beginning we were afraid that, like, what happens many times is that in factories or companies, they say, no, it's not possible, because they didn't do it before. But what was really, really surprising, and I think we even made an agreement on it, like, never say no, but let's ask why, or how else can we make it or achieve a similar idea. So with six of the envisioners, we went to the factories.
Yes.
To dive in with our handmade experiments into the factory processes and see how we could translate it. And for example, this one is made in the veneer section. And from our point of view, the veneer section is one where compared to the other processes, a lot of people are still involved. Like, they are checking every piece of veneer. So it made sense to add another step in that process done by people. So this was made by Roos and Wesley, and they created a brush to make colored stripes. And then you can imagine that the people in the factory could choose different strokes of veneer to create like one sheet of a board material. And in that way, by cutting it up, by choosing different strokes, you can create completely different patterns than what they normally did. The other one is from Aukje. There you can see how she ripped the paper, but on a big scale, on a big board, instead of doing it by hand. This went in the real press, and yeah,
it was hard.
amazing.
It was hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. We came there with two designers from the Netherlands. As you can imagine, designers sometimes are different, that's it. And people from factory were like, okay, so we're gonna have 3 people jumping up on our line and doing things. The beginning was difficult because they were looking like, really? So this guy is gonna jump on the line? Oh, really, he's gonna do this and that? But I think that our achievement, a part of the beautiful result that we have, is that they really got in. Like the designer was saying, I want to do this, I want to do that. And at the beginning, people from the factory were like, okay, yeah, go, it's fine, good. But at the end of the day, that same day, they were saying, no, you shouldn't put this color, you should put that other one. Oh, no, this is gonna burn, this is not. So they actually open up. And I think that is also because the designers really open up. As she said before we came in, we were talking about how designers behave sometimes. And I think that when you see a designer enthusiastic and in the middle of all the mark and everything, they really feel that they were on the same boat.
Yeah. And I think it was for the people in the factory the first time that they could play around in a way, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. And it was so funny because some of them just speak Galician, and Envisions people are Dutch, so just speak English. I don't know how they understood each other. Everything survived. I was looking like, you know, when you are babysitting something you are checking on, but they understood, so we were really happy about it. Yeah, here I think that there are 2 of the most challenging ones when you have to translate to a big scale. If you remember Sanne's work, she was working with foam, connecting boards, and doing something different. So she made this in the right side. There is another way to see the core of the board. Usually when you have a board, the core is always covered. You put a paper, you put an edging, you put something. The core is not beautiful. And Sanne said, okay, I'm gonna do the connections with this, and I'm gonna show that the core is beautiful also. So she got it another way, and she just joined the different boards and the different type of boards. That it could be also a really good solution for the acoustic or for panels or that kind of more and more known products. Then Simona, that is a girl that, Simona was really funny for us because when we took her to our printing company that they do melamine, she said, okay, so what you actually do is you get real wood, you press it, you do a bore, and then you try to copy wood in paper to make it look like the wood that you have inside. Okay, so the challenge for her was like, okay, there is wood inside of this, so I'm gonna cut the paper and the layers to really show how a graphic design in wood could really show the actual wood that is inside. So these 2 were really, I think, that one of the most known in Milan. People really understood this idea of showing the core and showing the idea inside of the wood that many times is hiding with veneer or painting or whatever. I'm gonna challenge you before we continue to realize or know how many things in your life have wood. Because before I started to work in this company, I thought that everything was real wood or painting or everything. And at the end of the day, a lot of things are MDF or chipboard, painted or covered by something. So now, from now on, you have to guess what things you have around you that could be that.
Yeah, and here you can see 2 of the other projects. This one is made by Wesley. You can't really see it on the image, but in real it's really beautiful. It's really subtle as well, because he created a coating, and directly on the black-colored MDF, he went with a big brush to coat the board, and now it's water-resistant, but it also gives a feeling like clouds. You see the black coming through the red and the blue. Not on the photo, but in real it's beautiful.
It is.
And the other one is from Thomas. In a way, it seemed to be really difficult to translate it into a bigger scale, in the industrial scale, like his homemade samples were really colorful. But it was surprising that he got the chance to try and fill the chipboards with other types of materials. So over here you can see some examples where he added some paper. And I think it gives a really new aesthetic and a decorative feeling, where the chipboard itself can already be applied without needing that extra layer.
Yeah, it was really good, because as I was telling you, when I arrived to the factory and I told to everybody that a guy would come with painting, was okay, but if I came saying, it's gonna bring confetti, and you're gonna put it inside of the board, well, they were like, okay, we will see, it's gonna burn, and at the end, this was a little bit the result. I think that it was a good path for know each other, and you will see now. If it wants to start, otherwise, I'll tell you more.
Vale, entonces, ¿cómo te llamas?
María Sol,
Muy bien, María, ¿y cuánto tiempo llevas aquí en Finsa?
44 años.
44 años. Y en esos 44 años, cuéntame, ¿viste algún tipo de chapa como esta?
No, no lo he visto nunca.
Nunca.
Soy José Rodríguez, soy jefe de equipo de la ofrecida de la chapa. Llevo 12 años en Finsa.
Y cuéntanos qué tipo de trabajo que están haciendo
Me parece un trabajo muy interesante, muy distinto a nuestra manera de ver el producto, pero interesante y original. Sí, a ver, para nosotros es algo totalmente diferente. Es algo que en principio choca, pero bueno, es una cosa original y divertida, incluso. Bueno, hola, buenos días, soy Urbano Álvarez y trabajo en Finsa desde el año 2001.
¿Cómo has vivido tú la colaboración con ellos?
Bueno, por la verdad que al principio, supongo que como te habrá comentado más gente, es un poco chocante, ¿no?, el enfoque que ellos le dan y que, bueno, pues que tú nunca te has planteado. Con lo cual, al principio, digamos que incluso con un poquito de recelo, ¿no?, en ver cómo realmente podríamos llevar a cabo estos proyectos en una fábrica, ¿no?, realmente. Pero bueno, a mí me ha ido pasando el tiempo y el proyecto y conociendo a la gente y, bueno, metiéndonos un poquito más en el tema, pues hemos visto que ni ellos, que ni los proyectos en sí iban a ser un problema para la fábrica y que además pues podíamos llegar a hacer realmente algo chulo, ¿no?, algo interesante y diferente, con lo cual, pues bien.
Pues soy Ana, estoy dentro del departamento de diseño de Finsa y me dedico al diseño de suelo.
¿Recomendarías este tipo de colaboraciones más elementales, como la que se ha hecho entre Envisions y Finsa, a otro tipo de cosas?
Por supuesto, yo creo que cualquier tipo de colaboración siempre es positiva y más este tipo de colaboración enfocando al diseño, sobre todo para lo que es materia prima, me parece pues un gran avance y una idea pues bastante original y un camino que seguir.
Como nos acabas de comentar, realmente consideras que entre los diseñadores es un camino a seguir muy tan valorizado.
Yo creo que es importante que desde la propia materia prima y los propios elementos base, que después seguramente harán otro proyecto, que ya desde el propio nacimiento de la materia llega una componente de diseño, ¿no? Porque muchas veces en la industria estamos muy enfocados en mejorar las cualidades, pues que sea súper resistente, que sea resistente al agua, que sea resistente al fuego, pero no igual, desde el propio nacimiento del producto hay una componente de diseño, ¿no? Entonces muchas veces dejamos esa parte y dar a un segundo proceso de transformación del producto, más pues, a un diseñador industrial o de mobiliario que haga después algo chulo con nuestro material, pero igual no estamos hasta ahora no estábamos tan enfocados en que desde el propio nacimiento del interior del tablero haya una componente de diseño.
So this was what they were doing in our factory for the whole year. And then when we have the result of the big boards and the industrial part, we decide to go again to that big place that I was telling you before, that is Milan.
And this time, I think it was Finsa who needed all the attention and all the honor, because they were the ones, as one of the first industries, that were allowing us to show the experiments and all the tests that we made, all the ideas that were on the table, also the mistakes that we made. Like normally you see the finished projects or you see a concept where a company is working on for years and years, but this was really the step where we were, and in that way we opened the doors to the public and let them become part of it. And the good thing here is to see how all those small samples are translated in those big, big boards. So for people, for the public, it was more easy to understand where to apply it or how to be able to use it. So we got a lot of questions if it's when it will be on the market, who they have to call if they want to buy some. And that was for us, I think, how do you say it? We felt and we could tell that the market was ready for this next step and for the patterns and the researches that we had done until now. So after Milan, we also went to London and back to my hometown, Eindhoven. And in Eindhoven, we tried to do it in a more different way because Eindhoven is a bit more conceptual. So, next image. We created a big, big box with all mirrors inside to be able to, also for ourselves, to play again and to relook to all the patterns, like what happens if it repeats, if it becomes endless. And we chose to have the mirrors a bit shaped, and that makes that the patterns will, wrap a bit and turn into new patterns.
And now what? So we were talking about process, progress, production. We already take the challenge to let designers come in our factory. We are really happy to do it. Then they've developed something small. We did it in a big scale. And what else can come? But at least we know that something is coming. We talk about Milan. We talk about London, Eindhoven. But we haven't been yet in our natural space, that is Spain, so far. So we are thinking in maybe going to Madrid Design Festival. We let the door open to show our products and our Boot in Progress collaboration in any other city, because we believe that people really have to realize that design is part of our life. And these kind of projects, like industry and designers, really have to merge. Many times, when you finish your degree or your master, you are sitting at your home and you believe, okay, what I'm gonna do? Okay, I'm a designer, what else? Yeah, already, I finished. Okay, there is future. The industries have to realize that there is a future for design, and I cannot tell or I cannot imagine a place or a world without design. Everything around you is a designer. Like a chair is design, a napkin is a design. Everything has been designed for someone. So we are going to bring this collaboration to Madrid. If we go to Madrid Design Festival, you will receive more information. But if you are not following up what we're going to do, let me tell you that we have Connections. Connections is a Finsa blog, but we don't talk about Boot. Okay, we talk about how the world is running. We talk about sectors like cars, we talk about technology, we talk about virtual reality, we talk about how the world is really moving, lifestyle, co-working. You can check it up and you will see that I'm not lying to you. It's just inspirational. It's just to inspire people to know how the world is changing and how we should be prepared for change. So, now that we finish our presentation, ¿alguna pregunta? ¿Algo que queráis saber? ¿Alguna idea? No todos a la vez, por favor. A ver, que tampoco no puede ser.
I think I have one thing to add.
Yes.
And that is that I really hope that you can leave the door today, not as a competitor, but as a collaborator. And that you don't see, like, oh, the other one, they have the good idea, but try to collaborate and convince each other to do it together, or maybe you can add something which makes the other idea more interesting. So don't be competitive anymore.
And that's it.
Thank you.